tomorrow night at 6, we're going to do the hogs, rabbits, and chickens. And then on Friday, we'll do the cattle and ag mechanics and the master showmanship. And then on Saturday at 11 a.m., we'll have the sale. We got a few things for opening up here. We're going to say our pledges and do a prayer, and then our national anthem. These FFA students are going to do that for us. I'm going to turn it over to them right now.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please bow your heads and remove your hats. Dear Lord, thank you so much for gathering us here this evening. We are thankful for the opportunity to exhibit our livestock, spend time with others, and share our passion for agriculture. I also want to thank and pray over all the people here that make it possible. I pray that you keep our exhibitors, volunteers, our ag teachers, and our families safe today, in and out of the ring.
I pray that we do our best to glorify you in all of our actions, words, and thoughts. I pray for the future leaders in this barn, that they might lead the industry of agriculture to an even more successful place because of their actions. I ask that you give them the wisdom to make the decisions, the integrity to stand by their faith, and the confidence to share their story with others. I pray for the farmers and ranchers across the globe that feed our growing nation. Thank you for giving us all the opportunity to do what we love for your glory. Today, I pray that you watch over everyone and give us the sportsmanship to represent you well. I ask these things in your most precious and heavenly name. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Now that's the way you start it now right there. Thank you, kiddos. Mr. Cohen, you want to say anything?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mr. Bruman. I'm the CTE director for the district, and so on behalf of the district and our department, we want to thank you for being here and supporting our students. Can I get another round of applause for the student leaders that came up here and got us started the right way? Also, I wanted to give a special thanks to the teachers, the students, the volunteers, my staff, the Livestock Committee of Garland, Board of Trustees that are here. We appreciate the support. Also, if you want to talk more and be informed about our bond election and what implications are here for the Ag Barn, please come see me. Early voting starts April 24th, ends May 2nd, and the election day is May 6th. Now for the show. Thank y'all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, judging our show today will be Mr. Riley Scott. He has been in the sheep and goat industry all his life. All right, Class 1 in our breeding sheep show, our Southdown Division. Class 1 will be Connor Bailey, Cassie McEntee, Brittany Norman, Lauren White, Lane White, Paige Johnson, and Matthew Connors. Following that will be Class number 2, two-tooth sheep, breeding sheep.
people as they get themselves lined up here. It's a pleasure to be with you guys tonight. This is actually a really interesting place. I've never been around this part, specifically this school. This is a really neat deal that you guys got. Starting off the U show, I think that there's a class that actually offers a lot of give and take. I think that there are two of them in particular that are just a notch more my speed. I'll go ahead and tell you the differences, I think. The young lady that starts off the class is one that is really round-bodied, and her rib cage is without a doubt the widest and most pulled apart. She's the widest and most pulled apart at the bottom side of her body, and also from the side that sheep runs uphill the most. I really like the way that sheep's made in motion as well. The young lady in second is one that I actually prefer in terms of her natural progression from front to rear when you step in behind those sheep. But with that being said, that's also the looser hided one who gets a little bit flatter about the shape of her, shape of her stifle, and also gets a little bit looser in her hide. That's still a really nice sheep, young lady. One in third is one that I think actually has a lot of neat pieces. In terms of blade work, that is the shortest bladed, shallowest chested one, but she also gives up the most in terms of width and power. Sheep in fourth is one that I actually think does a lot of cool things, and especially in motion. That's a really loose-spined, athletic one. She just gives up too much in terms of width and power. Sheep in fifth is one that is actually on the other side of that spectrum, but it's one for me. It's kind of, she just carries too much condition over her rib cage, which really throws off her balance, especially from the side. Young man that rounds out the class, actually, I'll be honest, there's actually really neat pieces in that sheep. She's short-bladed, and I really like the way she looks from the side, but it's when you get your hands on her, she is the loosest, hided, and plainest to the touch. Young man does a great job getting that one stuck. Let's give these kids a round of applause on the good first class.
All right, that'll be your class number one. Going to first place, going to Cassie McEntee. Second place, going to Brittany Norman. Third place, going to Connor Bailey. Fourth place, going to Lauren White. Fifth place, going to Matthew Connors. And sixth place, going to Lane White. That's going to bring us up to class number two as soon as we change out some sheep and get the exhibitor back in. Class 3, 4 to 6-2. Be getting ready.
Well, a young lady brings us a single entry, and I actually see a lot of quality in that one. She actually hit me really, really hard as she hits the gate. I'm a sucker for a good one that moves good and looks better when they're propped up. I think that one's unique for her flexibility. I love her rack shape and how fresh she is for this stage of the game. And what I really appreciate about that one is that the widest point of her body is her pin set, and that's how that's supposed to be, especially when you step in behind these things. But what's more impressive to me, like I said, is that when she moves, that one's shoulder blade goes up in the air and she is shallow, and cool looking. Young lady does a great job getting that one shown, and I really look forward to seeing that one back out here with the rest of them. Let's congratulate her on a great project.
Class 2, first place going to Cassie McEntee. That'll bring us up to class number 3, exhibitor 254, Candace Norman.
Another single entry that comes out here in the next class, and guys, this one's got a whole lot of good to her. I think the word for that one is maternal. That thing's rib cage is bold, she's wide from behind, and she stays square as she goes away. That one is massive chested, and I really appreciate the job the young lady shows, because you can tell when she's trying to pull her apart, she maybe doesn't want to cooperate, but she took her time and got that thing set up right to get a good look. I appreciate that a ton. I'll look forward to seeing that one come back out here. Without a doubt, that's the boldest, that's the widest one we've seen, so I can appreciate that one an awful lot. Let's congratulate this young lady on a great job.
All right, first place going to Candace Norman in that class. That'll bring us up to our division. We'll bring our first and second places back from from the class 1 and 2 also. And we'll select a division champion in the South Down division.
come out here in the South Down Drive, and first things first, I'd really like if we took a second and gave all these exhibitors that have already come out here a round of applause. This may be a small sheep show, but that don't mean we can't find quality, and we sure have. I think that there are 4 sheep out here that are all different in terms of their type and kind. Some of them are a little bit more powerful, a little more opened up. Others of them are more athletic in their skeleton, but maybe they sacrifice a little power, and that's okay, because one thing about me that I hope that you guys understand is that I like to study these things, skeletons, and I'll break these things down real quick. Young lady that wins the first class, again, I said in class, that's a sheep that's moderately sized and really neat for her frame size because she's still shallow and she still runs uphill. The second class winner is one that intrigues me in terms of skeletal quality. From right here, that one, even though she's arguably the tallest in terms of her frame, that one is the shallowest about her chest floor and the neatest about her blade work, while still actually powering off the squarest and most correct hind leg. Is that one as opened up and powerful just naturally as either sheep on either side of her? I don't know, but I do think that one's really interesting in terms of skeleton. The sheep that wins the third class is one that, again, I just love how maternal that thing is. That one's powerful. It doesn't matter what kind of livestock that one is. That one's going to do her job. She's bold. She's opened up. She's square everywhere. My thing with that one, maybe in comparison to the 2 sheep ahead of her, it would be her freshness. I don't know that maybe that sheep touches quite hard enough. She gets a little bit softer and she's just a little bit looser about her hide, which sometimes in comparison to the tighter hided ones in front of her throws off her natural handle. But I can certainly see for a power person that that one is all there and that one's unique in those aspects. For me, I think that my mind's made up pretty good. Well, I guess my mind's made up and I'll have to see what happens afterwards. But I think that there's a pair of sheep that fit me pretty good to win this whiteface deal. So let's give these kids a round of applause.
All right. So in our South Down division, the champion division, it goes to Cassie McEntee, and reserve champion goes to Cassie McEntee. That's going to bring us into our breeding sheep show, our Hampshire and Suffolk division. Class 1's got Cassie McEntee and Candace Norman in it. Class number 2, 2-2's be getting ready. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to let you know too, this program is not only for high school kids, but we have some juniors also showing animals. The junior FFA members, I'd just like y'all to know that. So they're competing out here with the big kiddos.
Well, I think a really high-quality pair of sheep to kind of segue into the black faces. I think both of them are super different in their types and kinds. Young Ladies that wins for me is just a really good show sheep. That's one that's super opened up and pulled apart. For as powerful as she is, that one is still super cool in motion, and I think that she becomes really flexible and still handles with lots of touch and expression and freshness. Young Lady gets her running uphill, and it's actually interesting because she does want to naturally come up in her spine ever so slightly, but when she relaxes that sheep from the side, that one is really, really hard to miss. Young Lady in second is one that I actually prefer in terms of just hardness right over the top side of her rack shape, but that ewe wants to give up just some body shape and density in terms of the way that she's made. She's the smaller footed one, but I certainly appreciate a lot of things about that one, especially her touch quality. These kids are working hard. Let's give them another big round of applause as they exit the ring.
All right, your class number 1 of your breeding sheep show on the Hampshire and Suffolk division. Class 1 goes to, first place goes to Cassie McEntee, second place going to Candace Norman. Like I said earlier, judging our show today is Mr. Riley Scott. He's a student up at OSU studying animal science and nutrition. We sure are glad he's here today. Like I said, he grew up around sheep and goats and all that.
Again, another interesting class. I actually probably found the most difficulty, even though this is a two-head class, to line these two up because they're so different in their types and kinds. And the one that I'm going to lead off with is just more my speed in terms of how that one is made from her shoulder back. I think that one is really neat about her blade work, but in motion, that sheep actually just gets a little bit funny in terms of her lines. But outside of that one is definitely the harder handling sheep who progresses the more correct way. She's wider about her chest floor. Now, I do think the sheep in second has an advantage in terms of feet and legs. I think that in motion, if you study this one's hind leg, her pastern is quite a little bit more correct in the way that she utilizes it. The sheep in front of her wants to get up on her toes. Where your second for me is when I step in behind these sheep, that the one in second is quite a little bit further along in terms of her condition, and she touches just a little bit plainer. And then when you step to the side of these things and study them from over here, she wants to tie quite a little bit lower about her loin edge, and she just looks deeper and plainer about her front end. But I do think that's a really interesting pair of sheep in that class that kind of make it difficult on a guy, and you got to kind of land where you want to make sure that you're placing your priorities. So let's give these two young ladies a round of applause on a really interesting set of sheep.
All right, in class number 2 on your two-tooth Hampshire Suffolk division, first place goes to Cassie McEntee and second place goes to Cassie McEntee. All right, that'll bring us class 3. Connor Bailey coming in the ring. Connor, don't let her lay down and have them babies in there.
Another single entry that comes out here, and this one is obviously a little bit heavy bred. I just asked him when she's due. He's pretty excited, and it's coming up quick. April 12th, or it's April 12th, is that what you said? That's pretty close. I mean, and that sheep still looks good. I actually think that one's fairly unique, especially about her handle. I love her rib cage, and I still think that she's super sound in motion. She maybe wants to get just a notch naturally tighter about her spine, and you can see that when you try to put it down there. But the young man does a great job of getting that one shown, because as you guys can tell, she's not really wanting to work with it, but that's okay. Let's give this young man a round of applause on a job well done.
All right, first place going to Connor Bailey in that class. We'll bring our first and second places back from the Class 1 and 2, and we'll judge for our division champion, and then we'll have our breeding show grand champion and reserve champion after that. We want to thank our sponsor for the banners and stuff, the UA, which is the Plumbers Union and Pipe Fitters, the Local 100, just say Local 100. Like I said, tonight we're doing our sheep and goats, breeding sheep, market sheep, then we'll do our showmanship on the sheep, and then we'll go into the goats with the breeding goats and then the market goats. Tomorrow night we'll be doing the pigs and chickens and rabbits.
Again, first things first, let's give all these exhibitors that made it back out here a big round of applause. They're all doing a great job. I think that when you get back out here, that they actually line up really, really neat. I think that in terms of silhouette and skeleton, especially from the side, these things make sense. And I really appreciate the way that all of them are built. I'll go ahead and start off talking about the two sheep out of the first class. Young lady that wins is one that just really hits me hard. It didn't matter when she came in the first time or this time. That one is super, super neat in terms of her line. She's bold ribbed, she's big loined and big pinned, and I really like that sheep in motion for having all that power. She stays within herself and still looks neat in terms of her skeleton. Sheep that was second in that class, like we said, I do think that she's the harder handling, fresher one in terms of her shape, and I do think that she maybe is more naturally pulled apart just out of the right over her pin set, especially when you study these two sheep's docks. But it's after that, again, we talked about her giving up some foot size, base width, and body shape, and that's okay because that's still a really nice sheep. Young lady that comes out of the second class, again, I thought that was a really challenging class for me, and I do think the one that wins when she gets back out here looks just a lot better in terms of her skeleton on the plant. I do think that that sheep's more unique about her front end. I think that she's harder handling over her rack shape, and I do think that from the side, that one's just more my speed. We talked about that sheep that was second in that class, maybe being just a notch bolder and pulled apart, and I do think that she's more correct about her pastern and the way that she utilizes it in motion, but she's also the softer, staler touching one that's maybe just a little bit more past 12 o'clock. young man that wins that last class again. Guys, this one's really impressive because I actually, when she got back out here, when you stand in behind these things, that one is the widest pin. That one is the biggest about her upper hip. And I do appreciate that about her. But it's just when she gets back out here with these younger ones, she does look a little bit plainer and more piecier. But that's okay because I'd be excited to see what comes out of that one too. So with that said, I'll go get you a grand in reserve. Let's give these kids a round of applause.
All right, now that'll lead us up to, that was division goes to Cassie McAtee, Grand Am Reserve. That'll bring us into our division, our Grand and Champion U's for the Supreme. Yeah. All right, I'll get squared away in a minute. All right, so as we're getting ready for our Supreme Drive for our breeding sheep show. We'll bring our champion from both divisions in, from the South Down Division and from the Hampshire and Suffolk Division. Excuse me, girl in the blue shirt, you can't be in the ring. You've graduated. Get out of there. Just playing, babe.
Well, I'm certainly not wanting to break the streak here. I think that we should give these kids a round of applause. This is a whale of a set of 4 sheep. I think they all have a right and deserve to be out here. With that being said, I think the 2 ewes that come out of the whiteface division are really unique both ways in their own right. I think the one that stands at the front of the line is the outlier out of all 4 of them in terms of skeleton. That one's the shallowest chested. She's super neat about the way she's put together, especially in motion. I love watching her move around the ring. Like we talked about, maybe in comparison to the sheep that was reserved out of that division, is she the stoutest naturally and most opened up? Maybe not, but I do think that those 2 sheep really represent that whiteface show extremely well. The 2 sheep out of the blackface division, the one on the front line, like I said, that one is really neat to look at for me, because not only is she the power sheep out of all the ones out here, she still does those things that I really appreciate, especially in motion. Is she as relaxed about her spine as the one that wins the white faces? Maybe not. But I don't think that it's a problem, especially because she does have such big muscles. And it's no matter where you're standing at, when you look at that one, you read power and muscle shape while still maintaining flexibility. The sheep that was reserved out of that division, again, is one that I still think has unique pieces, especially if you were going to take that one home and breed on her. I think that her front end is really neat. I think that she touches hard and progresses correctly. In comparison to all 3 of these sheep that are out here with her, I don't know that maybe her hind leg is as good and correct. I think that her pastern just gets a little bit longer and she doesn't use it as flexible, but I do think that one's still really unique for a lot of aspects when it comes to breeding them and going down the road. With that being said, I do think that there's 2 of them out here that hit me significantly hard. I think that they are both really, really good in the way that they're made. But I'll go ahead and show you my favorite 2. This has been a really nice ewe show. Let's give these kids a round of applause.
All right, your Supreme Champion breeding sheep goes to Cassie McEntee, Grand Champion, and your reserve is also Cassie McEntee. All right, there's also snacks down here at the end, courtesy of the Livestock Committee of Garland. If anybody wants to get that, go over there. And we're going to start our market sheep show now with our class number 1, Gabriel. Gabrielle? Gabriel what? Okay, Gabriel I'm sorry. Park. Natalie Williams. Alice Culver. Alicia, sorry.
Well, I think an exciting first class of these lightweight sheep that come out here in the market show, and it's a trio of ewe lambs. The young lady that I'm going to go ahead and start off with does so mostly for me because that one is, out of the three, the boldest about her rib shape. She's the best about her forerib. She touches the hardest and most correct over the top side of her rack. I think that one's the most correct in terms of her loin edge as well, while still being, or having some pin width and still being correct about her skeleton. Young lady in second is actually one that's more naturally pulled apart at the surface off of either end of her skeleton, but it's when I get on top of that sheep or study her from the three-quarter view, that one certainly gets quite a little bit flatter about her forerib and doesn't touch nearly with as much width up high as the one ahead of her, but still, young lady does a good job getting that one shown. Young man in third, I'll be honest with you, from the side, that one's actually the one that I most prefer in terms of her natural skeleton. That one's the shortest bladed and shallowest chested, but for me, it's that one's touch. For me, that one needs to have just a nickel more width up high and maybe just be a notch softer and deeper through her twist to make that one compete with the two ahead of you, but I do think that that's still a really unique one from the side. Let's give these kids a round of applause and congratulate them on working hard. They're doing great.
Okay, winners of Class 1 will be Natalie Woolens. Second place, Alicia Tovar. Third will be Gabriel Farr. Let's go into Class 2 now. Should be 2. Okay, in this class we have Selena Ochoa and Ashlyn Burke.
I think an interesting pair of sheep here in Class 2 that actually are at the similar weights but kind of contradicting in terms of their stories, and both of these ewes have quality, but the one that I'm going to go ahead and start off with, there's just more sheep there. In the long run, that one's bolder rib, stouter pin, more opened up off either end of her skeleton. She handles her hock better and more correctly as she goes away, and I still appreciate that one for handling just a notch more powerful out of the back side of her shoulder. And young ladies in second is probably more my speed from the side. I really do appreciate that one's build and type a nickel better from over here, but it's when I get on top of that sheep, that one gets flatter at the base of her forerib, she tapers through her stifle, gets really shallow about her twist, and on top of that, in comparison to the one ahead of her, when these things are in motion, that one really wants to push her hock to the outside of her body wall, which is kind of taking away from her balance, especially from the side when she's in motion. But still, that's a really good top pair of sheep, a couple that I can certainly find a lot of value in. You guys have done a great job getting them shown. Keep working hard because I really appreciate it. Let's give these kids a round of applause as they exit the ring.
Okay, first place in this class will be Selena Ochoa. Second place, Ashlyn Burke. Okay, class 3 of the market sheep. We need Morgan Wilson, Cassie McEntee, and Cassie McEntee.
I think a really good top trio out here in this third class, and I'll be honest, the ones that are both first and second hit me really hard when they came in the gate. I think both of them are unique pieces of livestock for what they are, but I'll tell you that the one that wins for me does so fairly handily. That one is big rib caged. That one progresses into a really big upper hip. For as much shape and dimension as that thing has, that one's still athletic and smooth in motion. And not only that, for weighing what he does at this stage of the game, that one touches like a dream. I really appreciate that one in terms of quality. The one in second, I won't lie to you, is probably just a notch naturally harder right over the top side of his rack shape. And I do appreciate that. But it's when I step in behind that sheep, I don't know if he's just as opened up and powerful in his type. He gives up some foot size and some leg wool, which really isn't all that important to me. But when you run into one like that, it just doesn't help your case. You do a great job getting that one shown, though, and I do look forward to seeing that one come back out here. Young lady in third also brings one that initially I would say that one is the trimmest in terms of the way that it's handling. But I don't know if that one just comes as creased up and fresh as I initially thought from the outside in. And on top of that, that one gets quite a little bit flatter in terms of body shape, gets quite a little bit frailer about its bone work. But again, I still think that all three of you do a great job getting these ones shown. Let's please applaud these young people as they exit the ring.
All right, in class number 3, first place going to Cassie McEntee. Second place goes to Cassie McEntee, showed by Candace Norman. And third place goes to Morgan Wilson. That'll bring us up to class number 4. All right, Martinez, Brittany Norman, and Matthew Connors.
I think Class 4 brings us, again, another interesting trio of these weathers, and the one that starts the class does so fairly quickly for me. I think that one's got a lot of good in it. That one's shoulder blade is laid really neatly. That one's super bold about his rib cage. That one's still athletic in motion. He handles fresh up high. Comparatively to the sheep in second, could that one be just a nickel bolder about his stifle shape from the side or from the three-quarter view? Yes, I think that's where your sheep has the advantage, but I do think that that one's build is so much more unique in terms of the way that it's put together through its front skeleton, and that one handles his hind leg way more correctly than either two of the ones behind you. That's a really nice sheep to win that class. Young Man's in second is arguably the most opened up and the stoutest. That is the thinnest hided sheep who probably touches the most aggressively with the most volume of muscle, but it's from the side where I run into some issues with that guy. You know, he's given up some foot size, and along with that, he gets a little bit deeper and more open about his shoulder. Maybe doesn't touch just as fresh in terms of his upper hip. That one wants to get a little bit stale and get a little bit plainer there, but I do think that that one is really bold and opened up, good power sheep to go second. The one in third is one that I really initially thought I was going to tie into just a nickel more, because in comparison to the one ahead of you, I do like that one just a notch better from the side, especially about its front end. But my problem with that one is, especially when we set these things in motion, that one wants to pull its hock in, which really throws me off, because that sheep's not as opened up naturally as the two ahead of him. He does get flatter to the base, his forerib gets plainer to the touch, but young lady, you do a great job getting that one drove, and you've got a great attitude, and I really appreciate that. You guys keep working hard. Let's give these kids a round of applause on a really nice class of sheep.
All right, in your class number 4, first place goes to Brittany Norman. Second place going to Matthew Connors, and third place going to Martinez. All right, now we'll go into our Grand and Reserve, our Grand Drive, our Market Sheep Grand Drive. We'll need all our first and second places back from class 1, 2, 3, and 4.
First things first, again, let's give these kids a round of applause on a really good set of market lambs. I think it's really deep. All the showmen are good, and they work hard. I think that when we get back out here, I hope that everybody can kind of tell my type and kind best that I could in terms of sheep that are my speed, that I can certainly talk a lot about and say that I have comfort using the ones that I did. The sheep out of the first class, both of those sheep have genuine muscle shape and body width, but maybe they just fall behind a little bit in terms of weight and condition. That's okay. They belong out here too. That's still a really good pair of lightweight sheep. Sheep that come out of the second class are two that are, again, like we talked about, extremely different in their type and kind. I went ahead and used the one that came with the shot more power, more opened up. The one in second maybe is a notch harder handling, but past that one wants to throw her hock out and get a little bit flatter about her rib shape. Sheep that wins class 3 is one that, again, I think that one's really impressive. I know that he's not the biggest thing in the world. He maybe not be the growthiest thing in the world, but boy, when you stand over here, the 3/4 view, that one is all there. And then to touch like he does at this stage of the game, keeping that one that fresh, and again, even when she's off of that thing, that one is really unique to look at from the side. I don't care what color he is. Sheep that was second in that class, again, I actually think that one's rack shape is harder. I think that one handles just a notch more genuine in terms of shape all the way down its top. But again, like we talked about, maybe giving up some foot size and power in terms of just build in general. That sheep's just not as opened up and stout as the one that beats you. But again, that's a really good pair of sheep that I find a lot of quality in. Young lady that wins that last class, again, like I said, I think that one does that fairly handily for me. I think that sheep is really unique in a lot of aspects. That's a shallow-chested, short-bladed one that's super correct in terms of its forerib, and it progresses the right way, maybe even more so than the one directly ahead of you. I honestly prefer that one from right here, just in terms of their body shape. Is that one just as stout and manly looking as the one ahead of you? I don't know, but I still think that one's just a little bit more up and out, especially from the side or in motion. The sheep that comes out of that class that's in second, like I said, a power guy could really tie into that thing, because that one is all there and he is manly in terms of his back shape and expression. But it's past that, like we talked about. That one just doesn't come with the extra bells and whistles and quality from the side as the one that beats you. That's a really good pair of sheep as well. With that being said, I do think that it kind of comes down to 3 of them for me. But I think past those 3, this has been a really unique set of sheep, and it's nothing to hang your head about if you're not the one who wins today, because at the end of the day, this is just one guy's opinion on one day, and I think that it's important for you guys to keep working hard and to keep a positive attitude. But past that, I'll put the microphone down and go show you my favorite 2.
All right, your grand champion market sheep goes to Cassie McEntee. Your reserve champion goes to Miss Brittany Norman. We're going to regroup here real quick, and then we'll start on our sheep showmanship.
I think that this sheep show has been represented extremely well by the showmen that you guys have put out here today. And that's the first thing I want to say, is that it's deep and it's not easy, and you guys are extremely competitive, and you've made it hard on me. I won't lie to you. I think that all of you do something unique. I think that there are probably 5 of you that I kind of zero in on and that I've been paying a lot of attention to, and I think that all of them are really different in terms of the way that they present their animal. Some of them are more intense, some of them go just a nickel slower than other ones, but maybe that sheep doesn't ever move again. Some of them are really good at moving these things, and maybe it just takes a nickel longer for them to get them set up. But I do think that all of you guys do a tremendous job, and I think that a big part of this is perseverance. Because I've spent a lot of time showing sheep and teaching people how to show sheep. I got a kid brother. We argue all the time about maybe how one needs to be shown or one needs to be set up. But the part of it that's always stuck with me is the fact that, guys, it's not always going to go right. They're not always going to stand still. I don't care if you've had them for 2 months, 2 years, 20 years. Sometimes they move around and they don't do what you want them to do. I think that what's important is that when that goes wrong, that you regroup, you recollect, and you just do your job to the best of your ability. So I'll commend all of you guys. Let's put your hands together for a really good set of sheep showmen. I'll go show you my favorite too. It's been really, really fun sorting through this deal.
Your grand champion overall sheep showman is Cassie McEntee. Your reserve will be Lauren White. Like I said, after we clear the ring on this, we will do our super senior showman. Anybody that's graduated, any parents, any alumni, anybody wanting to come back in and try your chances at showing sheep and prove you're the best. And there is belt buckles awarded, but they're on their way still. They got delayed, but they will be here, I think, tomorrow. The showmanship buckles, I think, are sponsored by the Optimist Club of Garland. What? I want to give everybody else a chance. I got to sit up here and what is it called? Commentate? Make fun of people. While we're getting that ready, I'm going to turn the mic over to Miss Joyce Miller real quick. She's got an announcement to make.
On behalf of the Agriculture Committee of Garland, I would like to thank you all for coming out tonight. I kind of want to take a moment to introduce some of our committee members. And Mr. Chad McEntee, he represents us as our president. Oh, you can't hear me. Let me use my non-teacher voice. And then we have Mr. Donnie Grisham, as our vice president. Miss Stacy McEntee is our district liaison. Does a fabulous job.
That's the one that's the biggest.
That's right. Myself, I am in the secretary position. And then we have Miss Tammy Omer, Joyce, they did that. Chad introduced me. We have Mr. Mulkey, Dale Mulkey out here somewhere. Where's Mr. Mulkey? He already went home. It was past his bedtime. And we have, AKA Pig Guru Matt Miller. He thinks that's his name. Mr. Bob North. Mr. Bob Duckworth. He does a lot for our committee as well. And Mr. Wayne York and Kamla Sanders. She's our treasurer. I have that name. And then we have Taylor Sanders. Where's Taylor? Taylor. Am I missing anybody? Oh, look, we got Caden York got in the house. We see you sneaking in, Caden. He's one of our newest members. So thank you all for coming out and supporting these kids. It's Bailey McEntee. And we have several others that will be coming in throughout the week to help out. And we just want to appreciate you for all the work that you do for these kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Lord. Thank you, Joyce. I know you're louder than that, really. Matt told me you were. I also want to thank the GISD CTE director, Mr. Coleman Bruman, for all he does for us, and his team, Susie Davis and Becky Collins. I want to give them a round of applause for helping out, and they make sure we get this 10 every year and all the stuff that we need to put this on. I want to thank our ag teachers for all they do, all of them. And like I said, without all this team of people, we couldn't do this. And thank all our sponsors and all that stuff, but it's great to be able to come up here and pay these kids off for their hard work this year and do this competition and get everybody out here and let everybody have a good time. So, like I said, we're going to do our sheep and goats tonight, and then we're going to do our sheep and goats tonight, and then tomorrow night we'll do the pigs and chickens and rabbits, and then Friday night will be cattle and oh my goodness. This is one of our lovely ag teachers, folks, that can't even make the sheep walk. All right, there's Mr. Coleman and Becky coming in the ring. Hey, if either one of y'all win, you get to cut Larry's hair. Right. Oh, Miss Collins, you're in good hands with that cross weather there, Cassie's. I changed his attitude a long time ago. Yeah, a rubber band. strut your stuff, man. Oh, we got Miss H. Oh, she's down. Oh, Lord. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, come on, Nicole. I'm rooting for you this year, Nicole. I want to thank Lindsay Sesko for working the ring, and Rainey Sesko, wherever she went to. Oh, she's showing. Okay. I thought, Taylor, I thought you were going to show. Oh. And Taylor, she graduated last year, and she's now a McKinney ISD FFA teacher. Huh? Yeah, she graduated college. Well, she's a teacher. Well, reenacting. Maybe she went to the advanced fast program. Fast track. She's a Rowlett alumni. Graduated from Tarleton. Now she's a FFA teacher up at McKinney ISD. Becky, straighten his butt. Push his butt over. Come on, Miss Collins, you got it. You got this. Help her out, baby. Come on, Julia, really? Hey, you need a sugar cube or a carrot to put in front of him?
Don't you do it.
I seen it. Nicole rear-ended Coleman. Becky, head to tail. Becky, you got to do it tomorrow night with the pig.
I'll win, paddle it.
Guys, a round of applause for this. This is awesome. I was talking to each and every one of them. They all make me laugh. I think that it's actually really cool because for the most part, all these things are stuck, except for, you know, when we run out of ear there every once in a while. But again, like I talked about earlier, it's perseverance. That's what we're here for. I think that for me, I think there's 4 of them that really, really do a good job. In fact, it's really impressive. I think that they get as much out of those sheep as the kids who showed them just a little bit earlier. So that's pretty unique in my mind. I think they said that I actually only get to pick one, which is not very fun for me. Okay, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But like I said, I think that it's really deep, challenging class of showmen. Let's put our hands together for these. Give them a round of applause. They're doing great.
All right. Now, Taylor is going to present the Gritty Award. That person has tried hard. Taylor's been out there judging it. Now we're going to let her talk to the class.
Good afternoon or evening, whatever it is. Okay, so I think we have some super awesome showmen out here tonight. Some of those are clearly a little bit more experienced than others. Like a few little accidents here on the left-hand corner with a little leg go and then an ear grab and a little smash on the ground, but that's all right. I'm going to give the Grit Award for the individual who showed grit during this showmanship, and pretty impressive. I'm pretty impressed. This is an individual who has never once touched a lamb before, much less taken it in the ring, so I'm going to applaud this individual for their hard work and go out and select your Grit Award champion.
There he gets his hair cut. All right, well, your grand champion super senior showman goes to Bailey McEntee, and your Grit Award goes to Coleman Broom. All right, that's going to lead us up to our goat show. All right, our premier sheep showman is Cassie McEntee, and our reserve premier goes to Brittany Norman. We got your awards up here, kiddos.
Okay, let's start the breeding goat show, percentage doe division. Class 1, need exhibitor number 225, Samara Lane.
Well, we're going to kick the doe show off here with a single entry, one that I certainly think could stand a lot of competition, though. I think that's a nice doe. She's really neat in terms of her body shape. That's probably my favorite thing about her. She's got a big rib cage. I really appreciate her from the 3/4 view because she's still stout pinned and opened up. She's wide off of either end of her skeleton, and she's still shallow chested with a big stout skull and good set of horns, and that's something that I can certainly appreciate in that one. Congratulate this young lady on doing a job well done getting that one shown.
Okay, your winner will be Samara Lane. Class number 2 coming in, have one exhibitor, number 257, Catherine Snow.
Again, another single entry, and again, another one that I think brings a lot of quality to the table. You want to talk about power and stoutness, man, you can certainly get in here. That one's got big feet. She's stout in terms of her build. She's still square and correct. Maybe she's a little bit shorter about her hip construction, but that's okay. I still think there's plenty enough there. And she's still, for a mature doe like that, is fairly youthful looking in terms of her appearance, especially up front. And I can appreciate that. So let's give this young lady a round of applause as we go ahead and head into this next division.
Okay, winner will be Catherine Snow.
I think in this first division, two ahead of these things that kind of come on opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of where they're at, especially in maturity pattern. And when you start talking about body shape, one that wins the first class is no doubt the stouter scold, neater looking one up front, who's a little bit better in terms of her handle quality, and I do think she's a little bit fresher. Is that one the biggest stifled thing in the world? No, and her tail set's a little bit low on the top side of her hip, but that's okay because she is more pulled apart underneath off either end of her skeleton, especially when we set the goats in motion. Young lady that wins the second class is one that, like I said in class, if you want to talk about feature and bone work, that one's really, really big. She's bigger and stouter arm. She's probably bolder in terms of her shape up, or in terms of her rib shape, especially from behind. But I think that when it comes down to this, for me, I'll go show you my two. I'll go show you the two in order and the way that I particularly like them. But let's give these young people a round of applause for doing a great job and having patience.
Okay, first place will be Samara Lane. Second place will be Catherine Snow. That will be your grand and reserve for percentage dough. Okay, let's go to your breeding goat full blood doe division. First class will be Brianna Bentley.
Well, another single entry out here in this first class of full bloods, and I think that this one is actually really neat to look at from the side, especially when she moves. That one's still shallow. She's good about her angles. She reads super genuine in terms of her width and her dimension, and I can really appreciate that one. Is that one necessarily the stoutest and most opened up thing in the world from behind? No, but the young lady does a great job making sure that I get a great look out of her, and I appreciate that an extreme amount. Let's congratulate her on a really solid class winner to kick us off in the full bloods.
Okay, winner of class 1 will be Brianna Bentley. Okay, class 2, we have one entry, Gabe Swallow.
Another single entry that comes out here, and again, I apologize, I was kind of eating that sandwich, but guys, I have a bad habit of walking around when I talk, so I was a little bit hungry, but I promise I was watching this one come in. And you certainly can't miss the chest, floor, and skull on this particular doe. That is a wide-chested animal, which makes her extremely powerful in terms of her construction. I really like that one from behind as well. She progresses correctly, which is actually really interesting for a goat that's that opened up and stout at the surface. Not only that, she's strong in her top line and reads super correct in terms of her angles. I really like the way that her hind leg is made, especially from the side. Young man does a great job getting that one propped up and shown. Let's give him a round of applause and congratulate him on a great job.
Okay, the winner of Class 2, Gabe Swallow. Have 2 exhibitors, Class 3. Have an Asher Sinise and Ashlyn Youngman.
As they get these goats in line, I think a really interesting top pair of goats. Again, I think that from the outside looking in, there's a lot of things that that certainly look different than when you put your hands on these goats. And it's weird to me because they're so different in the same areas that it's hard to kind of get a read on these things. And I wouldn't argue with you if you placed them one way or the other at all. I think it just comes down to where you really set your priorities. And for me, my priority is, especially in these does, is skeletal width and build quality. And I just read a little bit more extension. This goat that wins ties her neck higher out of the top side of a smoother shoulder. And I do think that even though she shows just a notch more maturity, especially about her spine and the way that she handles, comparison to the one that's in second, I do think that her build is neater from the side. And what really does it for me is that when you study both of these goats, both coming and going, this one is without doubt more pulled apart at the surface and stands naturally wider off of either end. Now, with that said, the goat in second, again, that one is really hard for me to get a read on sometimes, and it's not your fault. She's just a little bit naturally hairier, and that's fine. I do think that she's a little bit better in terms of her handle quality, especially right out of the back side of her shoulder. I think she stays leveler about her top, and she's still more youthful. My problem with that goat is that off either end of her skeleton, she is so much more narrower at the surface, which is odd because, like I said, I do think that she's better up high. I just have to question how genuine she is because of how narrow she is at the surface. Young man, you do a great job getting that one shown. That's a really neat pair of goats to study and talk about. Congratulate these two young people as they head out of the arena.
Winner of this class will be Asher Sands. Second place will be Ashlyn Youngman will win. Asher Sands will be second place. Okay, we're going to need Brianna, Gabe, Asher, and Ashlyn back in the arena.
Thank you. Hey, come get this. Come hold it. Come hold it, okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Said earlier, I want to thank our GISD ag teachers. And over at Garland, you got Glenn Sesko and Larry Kennedy. South Garland, you got Julia Brown. Rowlett's got Erica Brown and Felix Good. And Saxe, you got Nicole Harper. I'm not even going to try that last name, Nicole, Mrs. H. You got Justin Brown. Over at Lakeview, you got Yvette Ingram. And over at Naaman Forest, we have Tim Kloss and Karen Ford. Like I said, doing our sheep and goats tonight. Tomorrow night we'll have our breeding hogs and market hogs, laying hens, broilers, and rabbits to show. Friday at 6, we'll do our dairy heifers and our beef heifers and our steers and our ag mechanics, and then our master showmanship. Then Saturday morning, we'll start off with a skill-a-thon. Then at 9 a.m. we'll have our buyer's breakfast. 10 a.m. is Parade of Champion buckle presentation. And 11 a.m. will be the livestock sale. And then come on back Saturday night, 6 to 9, we'll have a barn dance here under the tent.
Let's put our hands together for these kids for making it back out here. They've done a tremendous job getting these things shown. I think that there's a lot of give and take. There's a lot of differences in these does, but I do think that all 4 of them that are out here are unique in ways that it makes it interesting for me to try and line them up and tell you which one I think is better than the other one. I think that the one that wins the first class is the most youthful in terms of her maturity pattern. That one probably handles the freshest and most correct up high. But that's a goat that maybe in comparison to any of the other ones out here loses quite a little bit of ground in terms of substance and sheer power. But I do think that her advantage over all of them is that her build quality and her youthfulness are so good out here with these other ones that it makes that one really hard to ignore, and that one's certainly not out of it for sure, at least for me. Young man that wins the second class, that's one that I think is pretty neat. That one, regardless of where you study, is the widest off either end of her skeleton. She's the boldest about her rib shape. She's the best about her loin and her pin set. She's really stout about her upper hip. And I really appreciate how powered up that thing is. Whether it's her skull, her horns, she's really attractive in motion for a goat that's powerful, and young man does a great job making sure that one looks the part. 2 goats out of the last class, like I said, that's a really interesting pair of goats that was not very easy for me, because I think the one that wins does so because of her build, like I talked about in class. I prefer that one's hind leg going away. I think that she's better from the side, even though she's a nickel more mature, especially about her sternum. I do think that that one's more genuine in terms of her base width and her shape up high. The goat that's in second, like we talked about in class, I wouldn't argue with you. I know that that one's stouter at the surface. Her feet are bigger. She's probably just a nickel better about her rack shape, especially when you put your hands on those two. But like I talked about, that one is the narrower base, narrower chested one who just makes me question how genuine she is in terms of her actual body shape. Is that one just hairier and fuller? I don't know, but I do think that class was really interesting and intriguing. I'll go show you my favorite 2. Let's give these kids a round of applause for coming out here and working hard.
Your grand champion doe goes to Gabe Swallow. Our banners are sponsored by the local 100 plumbers and local 100 plumbers and pipe fitters union. We thank them for sponsoring the banners and stuff for this year, sponsoring other things in our show. We just appreciate them guys helping us out. Reserve going to Brianna Bentley. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce this young lady right here in the pink jacket in the ring here. This is Reagan Sanders. She is one of our area FFA officers this year. So I'd like to give her a round of applause for doing that. think she's training up to run for state this year, state FFL. All right, now this is our supreme drive for our breeding goats. When we finish this up, we'll move into our market goats.
Come back out here for overall doe, and again, I think that this is a really good set of goats that do a lot of things correctly. They're certainly all fundamentally correct. Maybe some of them don't come with the types of high-speed pieces that other ones do, and that's okay because the basics and the boxes are checked, and that's what really matters when producing these things, especially when you just want them to go out and do their job every day. But with that said, I think that there are two of them that hit me just a nickel harder in terms of their type and kind. I think that both of these, or all four of these young people do a great job getting them shown. Let's put our hands together one more time for these doe showmen. I'll go get you my favorite too. starting off the market show with a top trio of does that I think all have quality, and I think that the young man's that wins does so sheerly out of a power and width up high standpoint. I think that that one touches the hardest in terms of his rack shape and is the most consistent from front to rear in terms of progression. Young man gets that one propped up fast and does a really good job getting that one shown. Young ladies in second is actually the one that probably intrigues me the most, because if that one was any taller in terms of its skeleton and its frame size, I could really tie into that one to win, because arguably that is the biggest hipped and biggest junk muscled goat. But it's unfortunate for her, she just gets a little bit flatter about her forerib, maybe not working with the same type of width at the surface. But young lady does a great job. I know it's your first time, but you're killing it, and I'm proud of you. Young lady that's third is arguably the best heighted goat. That one is really good in terms of handle and it's fresh. It's just that one is the narrowest constructed and the flattest about his rib shape, the most closed up, both coming and going. Let's give these kids a round of applause. They did a great job getting these goats shown.
All right, on that last class, first place going to Jacob Sinkle. Second place going to Jocelyn Laura. Third place going to Vanessa Rangel. Class 2's in the ring right now with Dylan Matter, Brittany Norman, McKenna Bailey.
Second class of goats definitely turn the heat up in terms of quality. I think all three of these goats have a lot of good in them, and I'll describe the differences to you. The young lady in the pink that goes ahead and leads this off, that goat is the stoutest in terms of his shape. He's the freshest in terms of his handle. He's the best through his stifle shape and both coming and going. That goat hit me as the most pulled apart. He's also the biggest about his forearm and the stoutest about his skull shape. Now, the doe, I'm sorry, the doe that's in second is one that I certainly really appreciate, a brown one that's bold and opened up like that. That one's still stout featured and big racked. My problem with that one is, in comparison to the one ahead of it, is it does get just a nickel weaker right in behind its shoulder, which throws its top line balance off from here. But I actually do appreciate that one just a notch more in terms of its underline. I do think it's better in its underline, and it's certainly pulled apart up high as well. The young man that's third is the silhouette goat of the class. From over here, when you get that one propped up, I can really get excited about that one because he's tall-shouldered. He's really neat to look at in terms of how shallow his chest floor is, and you do a great job getting him shown. It's just unfortunate that at this weight and in behind these two goats, you just run out of steam. That goat gets a little bit flatter, a little bit more closed up, and a little bit plainer in terms of his handle. But I do think that's an extremely competitive trio of goats. Let's give these young people a round of applause as they roll into the next one.
Class number 2, first place going to Brittany Norman, second place going to McKenna Bailey, and third place going to Dylan Metter. All right, that'll bring us up to class number 3, coming in the ring with Catherine Snow, McKenna Bailey, and Candace Norman.
Class 3 of these goats, again, I think another really high quality trio of goats to start with. And I'm gonna go ahead and tie into the doe that wins fairly quickly for me. I think that that one is not only the boldest and the stoutest everywhere, but that is also the hardest handling, biggest pinned one. The young lady's working really hard to make sure that one looks right, and I really appreciate your attitude. You've been great to work with all day. Young lady that's in second is one that I really appreciate in terms of body shape from the side. That one is really round about her rib cage and really good about her underline. My problem with her is when I get my hands on her. That one just doesn't handle with the same type of description in terms of muscle shape and handle quality, but still a really nice goat to stand second in a tough class. Goat that's in third is the most unique from the side. I think that one is the tallest shouldered, the shallowest chested, and the coolest about his blade work. I actually think that one is also the most attractive about the way he utilizes his hind leg in motion. But with that being said, it's easier for him to use his hind leg more correctly and square because he is the narrower made, narrower chested one who gets flatter the base of his forearm, tapers out of the back side of his shoulder, and gets flatter about his stomach. But young lady, you've done a great job showing these goats too, and I'm sorry you ran into a really tough class. Let's put your hands together for these kids another time. Congratulate them as they head out of the ring.
All right, class number 3. First place going to Candace Norman. Second place going to McKenna Bailey. Third place going to Catherine Snow. All right, that's going to bring us up to our grand champion drive of our market goats. Need first and second places from those 3 classes back to the ring at this time. All right, just as we did in the sheet earlier, we'll have a super senior goat showmanship. So y'all get ready and be thinking about that. Be thinking about that now. But before we do that, after our grand champion drive, we'll have our goat showmanship. I want to thank Riley Scott for being here with us this evening, judging our show. He's got to get back to OSU to go to an exam in the morning, so anyway. Need us to help write the answers on the bottoms of your boots or something?
That'd be really nice. Well, again, let's give these kids a round of applause for a really nice set of show goats out here. And I'm proud to be able to get to go choose 2 of them to stand behind in a picture. So I think that the quality is good. The two goats out of the first class, you know, like we said in class, those are both two really good skeleton goats that are still heavy muscled and shapely in their own right. Maybe in comparison to the other four behind them, they just run out of gas in terms of power and dimension, but that's okay. Those goats have got a long ways to go. The two that win the second class for me are two that are really neat in terms of the way that they're put together. I think that's a pair of really shapely goats. I think the difference is that the one that wins the class is just a nickel better right out of the backside of his shoulder. The brown one is maybe just a nickel stouter feature and probably just a little bit more powerful in his own right. But I don't think he touches with the same type of shape and intensity as the one ahead of him. Two goats out of the second class, or the last class, that the one that wins actually hits me fairly hard in terms of body shape and muscle shape. That's the biggest hipped one out here. That's the biggest loined one out here. And I do think that that one is, in comparison to the two ahead of him, maybe just a notch bolder about her rib shape. Do I think that that one from the side is maybe as attractive or as stout in her feature? I don't really know, but I do think that that one brings a lot of good to the table when you start calling these things market animals. And I think that the one that was second in that class mirrors that one extremely well in terms of body shape, just being round and bold. But in comparison to the one that wins that class, like we talked about in class, that one's the frailer featured one that gets flatter in terms of her shape. Just doesn't touch nearly as extreme in terms of width and dimension. With that said, I think my mind is pretty made up on which two that I think are really, really neat. And I'll go show you which two my favorite ones are. Let's give these kids a round of applause, and thank you guys for letting me work with your kids. I really appreciate that.
All right, your grand champion market goat goes to Brittany Norman, and your reserve champion is Candace Norman. All right, we're going to regroup, and we'll be coming back into the ring with our showmanship. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, we got 2 more nights of showing. We got tomorrow night, we got pigs, and chickens, and rabbits. And Friday night, we'll have the cattle and the ag mechanic projects. And Saturday, we'll have a skillathon that morning, and then we'll have our buyer's breakfast at 9, and then presentation of the belt buckles, and then at 11 we'll start the livestock auction. So ladies and gentlemen, these are market animals that these kids are raising. They are raised to produce meat. So if you are wanting to fill your freezers, Saturday's your chance. You can come out here and buy. Think about it. Think about talking to your neighbors or whatever. You can split them, because you know in the store you're going to pay $7 a pound for hamburger meat. Well, for less than that, you can have a steer processed for less than $7 a pound. There's a little write-up about processing and these animals and stuff in your in the catalog. It says stock your freezer. If you'll You can read through that and it'll give you some information on what the animals weigh, what they'll yield, and how much it costs to process. I'd like to introduce Saxy's ag teacher. Miss Nicole Harper Hohenberger, or also known as Miss H. I got a set of keys for a Toyota up here that was just turned in. They was laying on the grass out there. They got a Lone Star Toyota of Louisville on keychain on them. Back there. Come around here, we'll give them to you.
Let's give all these kids a round of applause. These are your GOAT exhibitors, and they do a great job. I'll be honest, I think that there's maybe more depth all the way through in terms of how these kids get these goats stuck than maybe even what we saw earlier in the sheep. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the sheep showmen. I just think that this is a really solid group of showmen all the way through. Some of them show both. Kudos to you if you do. I know that we've got adult showmanship left, and this won't be the last time I'm on the microphone, but I want to make sure that each and every one of you know that I'm just a livestock judge one day. You know, I do this pretty much for a living nowadays because it's what's put me through school, and if that's something you're interested in, I highly suggest it. It's changed my life because that gives me the opportunity to work with kids like you guys. And I'm a long, long way from home, but I'll tell you what, the hospitality here today has been like absolutely incredible. And to all the parents around the ring, I would also like to tell you guys, you have a great set of kids. I saw nobody upset, nobody got mad at me, everybody was smiling, having a great time, and that's something that's really hard to teach. And I commend you guys on that, so hats off to everybody here. Now back to the kids. I think that I would tell you that there are 7 of these kids that I think distinguish themselves extremely well. What I think it comes down to for me is really and truly not how you're bracing the goat. I just really like to see consistency. And I also think that it's more difficult for some than others, especially because given height differences and where you're at on these goats, it makes it tough. I do think that out of all of these kids, regardless of how old or young you guys are, I do think that there's one that really does it for me. I think that individual is very good at it, and I think the one that I'm going to use second is also very valuable in terms of what they bring to the table. And with that being said, I'm going to go show you my favorite too. And let's give all these kids a round of applause one more time.
All right, your grand champion goat showman goes to Gabe Swallow. I'd like to also note that Gabe is one of our junior FFA members also, so more kudos to him for that. All right, and then our reserve champion showman goes to McKenna Bailey. Oh, and she's a senior this year. All right, like I said, after our judges through talking with our contestants in this, we will be gathering up contestants for our super senior goat showman. It's that time to shine, so come on down and to the gate. Pickles is retired. Pickles didn't even walk when we showed her. All right, our premier goat exhibitor, our premier goat exhibitor goes to Gabe Swallow. And reserve premier goes to Samara Lane. All right, like I said, it's time for that super senior showman's time. Super senior. Come on down. Doesn't matter if you've ever touched a goat in your life. You can grab one now and bring it in the ring. Might be on your bucket list. It might be something you've always wanted to do, is show a goat. Now's your time to do that. Now's the time to cross it off your bucket list. Come show a goat. Come one, come all.
She ain't gonna let me down.
think that was my cue to start talking. Again, I think this is awesome. This is an awesome thing that you do. It's really unique because it's actually my first time ever doing this. I guess the sheep show and this show. I think that we had a little bit more success in terms of handling the animals in the goat show, but that's okay. I think that I actually thought this was tougher because you guys actually are doing a really good job getting these goats shown. But there can only be one, I'm told. So I'll go ahead and go out there and choose my favorite one. I think what makes the difference for me is in this particular class, I just thought the ring presence was a little bit more hardcore and a little bit more my speed. So let's put our hands together for these guys that are out here working hard. I appreciate every single one of them. Thanks for having me, you guys.
Ma'am, there's no giving goats kisses in the ring, okay? Rainey Sesko is your super senior showman. All right, all y'all stay in place because we got the Gritty Award coming.
This is definitely a little bit tougher than the last class of lambs that we had, but I'm going to go ahead and give this to an individual who came this time and showed us what she's made of. So she may have gotten knocked down in the last ring, but Miss H is going to be our grand champion today.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another round of applause for our judge, Riley Scott. We want to thank him. Thank you, Riley, for coming out and being with us, judging our show. We sure do appreciate it. You did a great job, young man. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes tonight's activities. Don't forget to show back up here tomorrow night, same place, same time at 6 o'clock. We'll have our swine show and our rabbits and our poultry show. So, look forward to seeing y'all again tomorrow night here. Thank y'all for coming out and supporting these kiddos. Kiddos, don't forget to turn in your cards. If you want to buckle, don't forget to turn in those cards, those thank you cards.